Retention is everything on YouTube. If you can level up that one thing, it will help you to get way more impressions and ultimately way more views on your videos. But what if your retention curves currently look like this? The curve that tells you how long your viewers are watching your videos for is telling you that 70% of them are leaving in the first minute. So how do we fix this? Well, in this video, we're going to go through every section of your video and share as many techniques as we can to level up your retention to help you get to that 60 or 70% mark. And these techniques are how you can turn this into this. And honestly, every creator should be using these techniques to level up their retention. Right, we know that the hook is the most important part of your video. It's how you get people to stay in and watch any of your content at all. But I'm going to get you to actually focus on something else first, and that is your value proposition. And this is actually where I have one of my hard and fast rules about making content. You should write your value proposition down on paper before you do anything else. Start writing your content, researching it, filming it even. You should have this written down on paper because it will influence everything else you do. So as an example, take a look at the last video on our channel. It was 5 YouTube metrics to understand your channel. And for that, I wrote this down. For creators to learn 5 metrics to pay more attention to, first thing, and that they want to know all 5 and check their own process against it before clicking off. So you can see there I cover 2 things. First of all, the headline of why they're there. And second of all, when they will leave. Once they receive that bit of value, they will leave. That's your core value proposition. But that thing will be different depending on your channel. In educational content, the value is learning. So having that moment where it clicks in someone's mind. In entertainment, it's probably the resolution for the character. So if there's a story, there's a hurdle, how do they get by it? That is the key payoff, the value proposition. In comedy, it's like the final joke, the thing that ties it all together. And then in review content, it's a little bit different. They're learning about the thing, the product, and then also the final verdict, what you think about it. And that is your main payoff. So with that said, you've got that written down, you understand what your value proposition is. Let's get into your hook. If we look at this on a retention graph, this is the difference between a bad hook and a good hook. How you do in those first 30 seconds will set the tone for the rest of the video. That initial drop off is viewers you don't get back, so it's really crucial to minimize that as much as possible. And the key here is that once they're gone, you don't get those viewers back, and that 1 or 2% can make a massive difference. It's a bit like from my racing days. If you exit a corner with 1 mile an hour more, you carry that down the rest of the straight, so that is the most crucial thing. And in our analogy, the hook is that. It's the most important part that affects the rest of the video. So how do you do this? What should a hook contain? First of all, it should establish the minimum amount of context to understand the video. If you jump straight in and the viewer hasn't got enough context about what's going on, none of it will make sense. So you do need that. Second of all, you should always create a curiosity gap. Sometimes this is called an open loop. Something that you've sown that the viewer doesn't yet understand and that they're waiting to learn about. Third, if you can, reaffirm the title and thumbnail. You'll see Mr. Beast do this a lot. He will use a similar shot in his intro to the title or thumbnail so that you know, okay, yes, this is the correct video. And finally, and perhaps most crucially, set an expectation for what is coming in the video, what you're going to cover, and what is coming at the end of the video that the viewer should hang on for. Now let's break down one of Ali Abdaal's videos to explain this in practice. Right, here's Ali's channel. Let's pull up his latest video right now. It's about the 4 pillars of wealth. So let's watch this and see when he first creates a curiosity gap.
What does it take to become financially free?
There you go. Straight away. 4 seconds in, we've got a curiosity gap. What does it take to become financially free? Yes, that's giving context about what the video is. It's also reaffirming the title and thumbnail, but you immediately have the question. That's what we're going to be answering in this video. That's why you should hang around.
Well, in this video, we're going to learn how you can turn your income from this all the way to this, and then maybe even to this.
There we go. This graph here is crucial. Now you can see they're masters at this. This is actually creating 3 open loops. What are each of those graphs? But then it's also referencing their target viewer. They understand their target viewer is probably on ladder 1 of creating wealth, and they are giving just enough context to what ladder 2 and ladder 3 is. So we're 11 seconds in and we already have 3 open loops, enough context about what the video is going to be. They've also appealed to their target audience. Now, 18 seconds in, they're adding to this. They're doubling down on their value proposition. They're using social proof. So Nathan Barry, founder of ConvertKit, this thing went viral. There are all of these cues to give enough social proof to go, okay, you should listen to this. It's founded in this element of truth, and we're going to cover it in this video. So you can see here that the hook is the highest leverage way of increasing your retention. But here is the next highest, the structure of your video. What do I mean by this? I'm going to show you two retention curves. They're from the same channel and they are about a very, very similar topic, but there is one crucial difference. Look at this first one. Take a look at that general downward trend of that retention curve. Here's the second one. Again, same topic. Look at how different that is. The overall average had a massive difference too, and it was from only changing one thing, and it was the structure of the video. So to explain, with any video that's actually worth making, there are payoffs. There are things that the viewer is waiting for, a value they get by watching your video. So what happened here is that the creator delivered the payoff too early. Once they've given away the answer to the question they're asking in the video, there is no reason for the viewers to hang on, and you can see there's a general downward trend. There's a lot to see on YouTube. There are suggested videos right below the one you're watching. Any reason to leave and viewers will take it. So the only thing we changed was we flipped that structure around. We delayed the payoff to the end. So here's step one to changing that, and the only thing we did in this case. We delayed the payoff to the end of the video. Now this is a classic mistake that lots of creators make, and it's a really simple one to fix. I like to call it the Wikipedia structure. They give an overall look at what's going on and often give away the answer in that. So like that first blurb in Wikipedia is covering like a high level look at the thing and all of the details you most want to see. And after that they dive into the specifics, the details. Now if a viewer has arrived to answer a question and you've just given it away, they're going to leave. They don't care about the details. Those are the least interesting things. What you can do is flip that on its head, and that's exactly what we did here. If you take a look at any of Johnny Harris's videos, he's a master at this. So he will give visual context and then the evidence, and that's what you can do here. So once you've got your hook, you know the viewer is hanging on, they know what they're getting, then you can give all of the context you need to give for the answer to make sense, and then reveal the final answer at the end. Switch those things around, and that's how we got this retention curve. But that is only level 1 to this. But there is a second level to this, a way you can increase your retention even further. Yes, delaying your payoff does mean that the beginning of your video is strong if you've got a good hook, and then the end of the video is strong because you've got the payoff there. What happens in the middle? If you've got a longer video, if you don't get good at that middle bit, it will really bite you. What you then need to do is create several smaller payoffs throughout the video. Now this can be anything. It can be little side tangents that you offer answers for. It could be hints at the final answer. In a comedy sketch, it could be jokes. These are something that George Blackman has canned minute payoffs. Those smaller payoffs that happen every minute throughout the video. Now there is also an additional technique you can leverage here. It is something I've done in the past to really level up a channel's retention, and it's called pattern interrupts. So videos always have a pattern or a flow. There's A-roll, there's B-roll, there's shots of something else. There's a kind of rhythm to it, a pacing. What you can leverage there is that you can break the rhythm. So if a viewer is getting used to how your videos flow and you suddenly break it, it makes them re-engage with the content. It makes them pay attention again. I used to work on a Formula 1 channel, and we used to do this all the time by having sounds of Formula 1 cars, just like for a Formula 1 viewer, that worked absolutely perfectly to re-engage them back into the video. And you will see that in your retention graphs, little spikes whenever you offer these little payoffs. Now there is a secret method that wraps all of this up into one thing, a framework if you like. And it is simpler than you think. It's tell a story with your video. Although yes, that has been said a million times whenever we talk about retention, it's because it works. A story contains everything you need for a great video, for something that retains a viewer. Think about it, a story will have a hook, a curiosity gap, it will have stakes, and then it will have a resolution towards the end of the video. That's all that we've spoken about wrapped up into one thing. So to do that, I would recommend weaving in a hero's journey, and there are 7 steps you can see here how you can weave a character story into your content. Now for some types of videos this will be easier than others, and like Marques Brownlee says about these things, it's very hard to do that with a review of a product or something like that. But one of the things you can almost always do is weave in stakes. If something doesn't happen, then some other bad thing will happen. This is why challenges and games work well on YouTube, because there's a win-lose stake that people are battling for, but you can almost always weave some kind of stakes into your video. The next step, pacing. Now you must have watched videos where the presenter is just going at 1,000,000 miles an hour the entire time, and that can be draining. You don't need to do that. But there are times where you need to sprint in a video. So when you have a curiosity gap, we know that the viewer is hanging on for something, so they will stick around until they receive that value that they're waiting for. So during that time, you can afford to slow down a bit. You can slow down your pacing. You know that they're not going anywhere. But if you've wrapped up one open loop and you're just creating the next, you do need to sprint. That's a time when you need to mind the gap, if you like. You may need to hurry up the pacing of the visuals, maybe not your delivery, maybe just the visuals or your delivery as well, or a music change, to make sure they're re-engaged until that next open loop is set up, and then you can slow down again. Now we've got all of that, we need to talk about how you conclude your video, how you end it. The golden rule is place your final payoff as close to the end of the video as you can. So this means no slow outros, no long conclusions, no closing statements. Get them straight into the next video and then end your video. And a common mistake as well is using closing language where you're not actually at that end of the video. And if you say "and finally" or "that's it" or "thanks for watching," any of those things, even a subscribed CTA can be sketchy if it's towards the end of the video. People think the value is done, they've received all of the value they're going to get from that video, and therefore they leave. There are so many suggestions around the YouTube UI, meaning that if you haven't got an open loop sewn correctly, then a viewer will leave. Now that's not it, there is one final thing, and if you're going to learn anything from this video, it should be this. It's learn from your retention curves, study them. And what does that initial drop off of your retention curve look like? Where are there dips? What happened at that moment to cause that? Where are there spikes? What is the viewer going back to see? Use those to inform your content, because every audience is different and they react to different things. They resonate with different things. It will pay off massively if you can build learning from that data into your process to then inform the next video, getting 1% better every time. And you will level up massively over time. So 2 days after posting, go back and look at your retention curve and use that to inform your content, as well as these 5 other metrics that you should definitely pay attention to better understand your channel. Check that video out there, and I'll see you in the next one.